Go
Thank
ahead,
you. That's
Tara.
great.
All right, so welcome everyone to our January-ish roundtable. Thanks for being flexible with your schedules. We couldn't hold it the normal fourth Friday of the month just because of our partner schedules, but we're happy you're here today. We are going to hear from SCDHEC, ACS CAN, and you're going to hear from Smokefree SC about our priorities, some new data we have, and just what's going on in our worlds. And then we're also going to open it up to you at the end if you have any priorities or goals, events that you would also like to share from your organization. So, as Barbara said, we are going to start it off with Sharon from DHEC. So, go ahead, Sharon.
Thanks so much, Tara. And I'm going to try to share my screen. I always get challenged by this, but I think I can do this. Let me know if you see my slides.
Not yet, but
Okay, you know I
there they
always
are.
mess this up, right? Okay,
And
does that look right? And let me put it on slideshow. All right, let me know if that looks right.
it,
We seeing it? Okay, wonderful. Well, how about that? Love technology when it works.
so Sharon, the only thing about it is it's got your notes on the side. I don't know if you want us to see your notes or
I don't know that there's notes
okay.
in here, but yeah. If there are, just ignore them because I'll be talking, and if there are notes, I'll have to update it later. But let's see. Anybody know how to make the notes go away?
Did you
I
do
can't even make
slide?
myself appear. I certainly can't help you with notes.
I was going to
Maybe
say
on
you
your
had start slideshow, right?
Yeah, I did start slideshow.
Oh.
on the top on what I can see, Sharon, I can see that display settings button. Maybe
Okay,
you can,
is that under more maybe?
maybe you can't see it. It's on the top left for me.
Okay, let's try it right there.
Do hide presenter view.
Okay,
There you go.
There we go.
does that look right?
And then you just have to hit start slideshow. And
From beginning?
that might do it.
Hmm.
Y'all, this is crazy. I should have this act together. I apologize. Let's
It
see.
does seem like maybe hit resume slideshow. Hold on. From beginning and then hit resume. No, no, that didn't work. This is fine. We can see it.
Okay. We'll
Yeah,
just roll with what we've got. How's that sound? And I can just do them like this. How's that sound?
sounds great.
Okay, you'll see the information regardless, so that'll be good. All right, so what I'm here today to present is our third quarter of our end tracker data. This is our information that we collect through our partners with Research Triangle Institute, and it gives us really good insights on advertising and revenues for the multitude of tobacco products that we have in our state. But we really do focus on our ends products, which are electronic nicotine delivery system, or our e-cigarette products. I'm going to be presenting information today through quarter three, which is ended in September of 2023. So we always run 1 quarter behind with the data, but we did share our last quarter in September. So this is just the next update to the information that we've been providing throughout. So let's start with our advertising sales. Our advertising data is collected through Kantar, which is the world's leading marketing data and analytics company. And it's a reminder again that we're looking at the data by quarter, and we're currently in quarter three. So we are one quarter behind as we look at our information. All right, so let's start with our national data. Let's take a look at year 2023 up to September and take a look at the overall advertising spends. We're seeing $3.3 million have been spent in advertising overall in 2023, and that's compared to 2.3 million spent in 2022. So it's $1 million more in 23, and we've still got one more quarter to go. So upping the advertising spend. Just in Q3, we're seeing a little under $800,000 being spent on national advertising. This is a 59% decrease from what we saw in Q2. The highest spend was in July, of course, during the summer months, but it's tapered off a bit in September when we saw only about $6,000 in advertising. If we take a look by media channel, from 2022, we see that outdoor, which are things like billboards and bus shelters, outdoor was the overall highest spend, followed by TV and then traditional radio for the most used channels for 2022. However, in 2023, we're seeing that traditional radio was the highest at about $1.7 million in spend, then outdoor advertising at 1.3, and then followed by online video with a little under $200,000. So we did see a huge arc over the summer, but it has settled down some since that time. All right. And looking at advertising expenditures by brand, we see that blue far exceeds everything else at about 99% of the ads in 2023. Last year it was split between blue and views, but so far for 2023, blue has far outweighed any of the others. And then taking a look at our designated market areas, or our DMAs, the tracker hasn't picked up any specific advertising across South Carolina, but it did pick up some buys in North Carolina in the Charlotte area that, of course, have shown across the border, but nothing of note very specifically for South Carolina. All right, so now we're going to move on to our retail sales, which is from our Nielsen data. If you're familiar with Nielsen, it's Nielsen scanner data from a system called Nielsen IQ, which includes convenience stores, grocery stores, pharmacies, mass merchandisers, discount or dollar stores, and military commissaries. But it doesn't include online, and it doesn't include any non-Nielsen IQ tracked stores, which include our vape shops and our tobacco specialty shops. So they don't participate in the Nielsen scanner, so we don't have data from those, unfortunately. All right, so when we're looking at monthly dollar sales, we see that Views Alto is still the #1 brand with about 4.25 million in sales in the most recent 4 weeks ending on 9/30/23. This is followed by Juul, which is at about $1.4 million. So interestingly enough, a lot of the national data continues to show that Juul use is declining, but still in South Carolina, we see that it's the #2 purchased brand for our state. All right, let's take a little bit of a closer look with some that we've been tracking. Of course, we see Views Alto and Juul at the top, then followed by Elf Bar, which is in our bright green. And what we see there, we saw Elf Bar really come on the scene in 2022 and jumped out to the number 3 ranked brand over the past few quarters. But then it showed a big drop in Q2 and now has seen a little bit of a resurgence in Q3, but finally dropping in the most recent 4 weeks. And you may remember that we highlighted Elf Bar during our last data share, as it has been under the FDA removal order due to it not passing the pre-market review. So we really were able to see kind of the rise of Elf Bar, and then once the FDA action hit, really saw that decline. So that's very positive. The other brand that we've been watching is called Lost Mary, and it's the one in yellow. You can see it really here towards the bottom. And Lost Mary is actually manufactured by Elf Bar. It's a really similar product, but it didn't have many sales in 2022, but in the past 2 quarters, it's jumped up to the 4th highest selling ends brand and is almost higher selling than Elf Bar. One other that we've been taking a look at is called Tyson 2.0. So you can see that one is there in orange. It really started growing in Q2 and is now the 5th top brand that we are seeing, though it has leveled off. So these are the ones that we're really keeping an eye on, as well as those that we are watching for our growth of the top brands by market share. So if you take a look at the top brands by market share, the brands Enjoy Ace and Views Alto were tied for the highest growth rate by market share in our Q3. So as we've seen in our other graphs, Views Alto is our highest selling brand in South Carolina, but we'll keep an eye on that Enjoy Ace. It's now the 7th highest selling brand, but of course, as it gains market share, we'll keep taking a look at that as we move down the line. So are there any questions about either of the advertising or the market share, the cost and the retail data before I move on to share a little bit about our social media analytics?
So Tyson 2.0 is the it's like a THC brand, or it's more
well, it's Tyson, it's Mike Tyson's brand.
Yeah.
So it's linked to Mike Tyson, the boxer. So he's done a lot of promotions and marketing for that brand.
I just, when I looked it up, because I never heard about it, I just see that it's labeled as cannabis. So
okay,
I was surprised at that one.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is to do the deeper dive into all of these brands and to see what they look like. And I do have, I have pulled like pictures and things like that for those, and I can share those if anybody's interested, just so we know when we see them, when we see them crunched up on the asphalt by our cars as we're getting out in the parking lots and those kinds of things. And you say, oh, there's a Views Alto. But yeah,
really
I'll be glad to share the photos as well.
This isn't a question, Sharon, just an observation. We've received, some vapes from the schools that we visit, confiscated vape products that they give to us, and I see a ton of Lost Marys.
Really?
Yeah, that's definitely the most popular one of the confiscated ones that I've been giving. Is the Lost Mary.
And see, that information really helps fill in a little bit of the gap for us, Tara. So it's wonderful as y'all are collecting those to try to categorize them as you can, because it gives us a better picture of what our young people are using. Because these, in looking at advertising and sales, we're looking at overall sales. We're not just looking at, the youth market. So great insight for that. I think what we were talking about with our contractors is that, as Elf Bar was rising and rising and rising, when it was hit with the FDA sanctions and had to be pulled off the shelf, the kids just went directly to the Lost Mary because it was so similar. And, it really kind of filled the gap, and it wasn't under the same scrutiny at that point as Elf Bar was. So it seems the trends move very, very quickly with our young people. All right, so I'm going to jump now and talk a little bit about some of the social media trends that we're seeing with the different products. We take a look at Google Analytics, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. So I'm just going to share some snippets of what we've seen with some of these. So keeping in mind that we're looking at Q3, so it's the ramp up to Christmas. So there was a lot of Black Friday deals that folks could take a look at. These are especially on Twitter, or X as it's called now, but taking a look at, Cyber Monday sales and Black Friday sales for different products, 25% off. Chief of Vapes has a Black Friday deal that you could have taken advantage of. Just really kind of honing in on taking a look at Black Friday deals. Get your loved one a vape for Christmas, right? We're also continuing to look at the theme of engagement. We shared this last time, but this continues to be a strategy with the marketing and taking a look at the Christmas challenge or the Thanksgiving giveaway, really trying to keep folks engaged and interactive through these different products. We are continuing to see, we're seeing kind of a new trend here with vapes that offer 10,000 or more puffs. So really, trying to stretch your dollar, and really getting, the higher rate of puffs seems to be a new threshold that we're seeing with some of these, with some of the advertising. We also are seeing a lot of foreign wholesale, particularly being sold on the WhatsApp. I was particularly intrigued by the ones that look like mini cassette tapes there at the bottom, for those of you that are old school like me. We're also seeing, continuing to see the slim, sleek, and trendy devices. Those continue to really dominate, that plus the nano, the really, really small, continuing to see those promoted very, very heavily through social media. I'm going to highlight just a few brands as we go through just towards the very end here. The first is Upends. And Upends is a brand that really seems in their advertising to be touching on mental health issues. So unhappy, bored, disappointed, which we would likely attribute to nicotine addiction. But they're promoting their California cherry, strawberry, kiwi, and blue raz ice as a way to, fight off these issues. Feeling unhappy, use your California cherry. We're also seeing Taylor Swift being co-opted. So a new Swift bar is out. And if you look under the hashtags, you'll see hashtag Taylor Swift, hashtag Travis Kelce, really, really playing in on the mania surrounding the popularity of Taylor Swift. So I'm curious as to whether or not she knows that they've kind of co-opted. Interesting to spell it SWFT and leave the I out, so there's no, I guess, copyright infringement with her, but definitely trying to co-op on the popularity of Taylor Swift. And then finally, I wanted to share a brand spotlight on Spree Bar. This is something new that we've seen this time. It's promoting that it has metanine, metatine, rather than nicotine. So it claims to be exempt from pre-market review. If you take a look at metatine on the internet, it's a non-nicotine compound that's indistinguishable from traditional vape products, but as they claim, also PMTA exempt. So as we see more of these non-nicotine products, and you can see they're falling in line with the promotions, the unicorn and the cat and Dwight from The Office. And one thing that we did notice also, you can't really see it in the fine print here, but it's in select markets for testing, and South Carolina is one of the select markets. So we likely will see Spree Bar in the stores here in South Carolina as well, at least until it's figured out what happens with non-nicotine products and regulation. So those were just a few that I wanted to share with everyone. That's the end of my presentation for today, and I'm happy to take any questions or open to any comments that anyone would like to make about the information.
I always think that having the data is helpful and just interesting to see the sales data. To me, that says a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely what we need to keep our eyes on and make sure that we follow, because that's how we'll discover any of the new, like how Juul really jumped into popularity so quickly, and it caught us all off guard when it happened. Now with the tracker data, we're able to see, particularly with the market growth products, to really keep an eye on those kinds of things. So very, very helpful information.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon, do you think vape stores will ever be included in the Nielsen data collection?
I'm not exactly sure if there's any requirements or anything like that to barcode and use the Nielsen. I would imagine that they probably would not want to be, because otherwise it's tracked.
Right.
So I'm wondering, I don't know this for sure. This is just Sharon's opinion. This is not DHEC's opinion, but Sharon's opinion is that likely they're not in Nielsen for a reason.
Right. Probably true.
What, this may be a question for later, but I'm just thinking with the Nielsen data and a new registry bill I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But I'm wondering if perhaps that could be an opportunity for us to change policy to require vape shops to use the Nielsen data.
That would be very interesting to look into.
This is a nice segue into something I was going to talk about a little bit later, but I guess I'll talk about it now, which is our new vape disposal kits for high schools and middle schools. So we have really copied a program that was in Boulder, Colorado, to develop a way for high schools and middle schools. It's been one of the #1 complaints that Tara's had, and I think some of our partners have had when they've gone out to do vape talks at different high schools and middle schools is, what do I do with them? And so we've developed these kits for our high schools and middle schools that we're going to start distributing. If you have a high school or middle school who would like to participate, please forward their name to me or Tara, and we'll be happy to send them a kit. We're working with USC students on this project. And as Sharon and Tara were pointing out, we are going to do some data collection on what we collect from the high schools and middle schools. So we're going to look at the type of products that they're collecting. And then we're going to look at things like what flavors they have, if cannabis is included or not, the amount of nicotine in the product. And then we're also going to look at what they're doing at the middle school level versus the high school level. So we should, our first go around, as we're hoping to get these kits out to high schools and middle schools. I keep repeating that in the next week. And then we're going to, while we are delivering the kits, hopefully collect everything that they've collected so far that they haven't been able to dispose of. And then we're going to go back in a month or so and collect another round. And those USC students are going to do the data entry for us and separate everything out. Then we will take out the batteries and dispose of the product at that point. But as I said, if you have anybody who you think would be interested, please contact me or Tara. All righty, Beth, you ready?
I am, I think.
Do you need I think I made you a co-host if you need to share your screen.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any slides or anything.
Okay.
But I'm really big on my screen now, so I need to, let me see if I can fix that. I'm having all kind of technology problems this morning, but good morning. Glad to see everybody. And thanks for letting me share a few minutes. We do have a lot going on at the State House right now. And I have bills and review of bills all on my desk this morning that I'm trying to look over and educate myself about. So sharing your information was very timely as we prepare to testify next week on a bad bill that's popped up in the Senate. So just wanted to kind of start by saying ACSCAN and some of our national partners who are on this call today, thank you guys for being on the call, that we all try to speak with one voice as much and as often as we can so that we are a unified front. And from our perspective, the top 3 things that we can do when we look at top 3 policies that we can do when we look at tobacco prevention and control is what we call a 3-legged stool. You guys get tired of me saying this because I say it all the time, but it really does shape what we do and the work that we do. And it is sort of our guardrails to help us as we see and hear lots of different things that are kind of swirling around. But we're always looking at how can we provide additional funding? How can we fund prevention and control cessation efforts? We're always looking at the price of the product. How can we increase the price of the product? And we're always looking at smoke-free and what can we do to increase the number of smoke-free communities, smoke-free indoor policies, and eventually, hopefully, maybe a statewide smoke-free policy. So I wanted to start by saying that those are the three top policy issues for us and the things that we focus on primarily. But then, of course, we have out of the blue all these other things that kind of whirl around. Like last year, we were fighting preemption. And I want to say again, thank you guys so much for that. You know, I think some people classify last year's preemption as a loss. And I just want to also say that I don't think it was a loss at all. I think it was a hard 6 years, and I think everyone, especially folks on this call, did such a great job fighting that bill back for 6 years. We were one of the very few southern states that were able to do that for so long. So I don't see that as a loss. Unfortunately, that we were not able to stop it, but not a loss in the grand scheme of things because we all worked hard and we learned a lot from that campaign. So as we look now at what bills are happening, what's going on right now at the state level, we see a few bills that have popped up, of course, from the tobacco industry. And one bill that is going to be heard next week in Senate Medical Affairs Subcommittee. It is Senate Bill 994, and this is a registry bill. So it would require retailers to register with the Attorney General's office if they sell tobacco products. And there's a lot of details in that. So that's like the big picture. And then there's a lot of details as to how and what would classify them as having to be on this list. It is a registry. They don't have to pay to be on it. There's no really teeth to it. And it truly is a distraction. So I was on a call this morning with our national partners. And so I invite, I think I saw earlier, I saw Heart and Lung on the call. So I invite you guys to chime in if you want to hear. But we were on a call this morning all together just talking about, okay, what do we do about this bill? Because, at first glance, you hear registry and you're like, that's a great idea. Yeah. And so the bill has, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 co-sponsors. And some of those co-sponsors were, our really big champions last year in fighting against preemption. And they are on this bill. So this registry bill would create just simply that, a plain old registry through the Attorney General's office. But it really has no teeth. It really does nothing. And it really is a distraction. So we oppose this bill. I know that Andrew with Hart and myself will be testifying against the bill next week. It really does nothing. It allows legislators to think that they have done great work and to think that they've passed something in the fight against big tobacco, but it is not that. So that's one of the bills that we're following. And that bill is in the Senate and in the House. There's a companion bill. The other bill that we're looking at is a bill that was also introduced by Big Tobacco. It changes the definitions of the product. It also changes one particular line, which talks about proof of age and how do you verify someone's age. And this would put the onus on a retail clerk in a retail environment who is selling the product, that retailer could basically choose or not choose to demand proof of age. And there's some stipulations around that. And it also is some stipulations around the age of 18 and 21. We've talked about this a little bit, and then South Carolina has a constitutional law that says you cannot restrict the age of sale of a product to anyone who is under the age of, you cannot restrict the sale of a product other than alcohol. You can restrict the sale of alcohol. So we can't really do anything about that. But what we can do is enforce the federal law of T21 that we have. And so there's been some debate back and forth about the federal law and who has the power to enforce in South Carolina. And the other two bad tobacco bills kind of dance around that a little bit. The age restriction, the proof of age. They also talks about vending machines and where vending machines can be located and what can be sold in the vending machine. So there are a couple of different things that we're looking at. Those bills have not received, or they're not on the schedule to receive a hearing yet. But I imagine they could be very soon. So what we're focused on right now are some important dates for us. Is we're looking at crossover day. So South Carolina is in the second year of the 2-year session. This is important for us because if bills don't make the crossover day, then they die, which is good in some cases. And so it would be very good if we can prevent these tobacco bills from making crossover day. And that is really our goal right now, is to look at these bills, to have conversations. You know, I would say, and we the national partners agree on this morning, that these bills are important for us because they could potentially set some groundwork later on, even like with the changing of the definitions of things that could impact how we increase the tax on products down the road. So we're paying attention, we're listening, we're monitoring, we're speaking out against, but you know, these two bills really are, I would say, not top priority for our groups at the moment. So wanted to keep you informed, but also didn't want anybody to be on super high alert. I would like to extend an invitation, though, to this group and anyone who's on the group today. If you would like to come to the State House next week and be a part of the testimony, share testimony, please let me know. I would love to help you prep and sign up to speak, because I think it's really important that the General Assembly hear from other folks besides cancer and heart when we are talking about the bad tobacco bills. So let me know if you guys are interested and want to do that. And we'd love to have you come and participate. So at the state level, there was some conversation about repealing preemption, and how do we do that? And are we at a point that we're going to do that? And what does that even look like for us? And as I mentioned, we are in the second year of a 2-year session. That means that things are kind of at this crazy space. They're at this crazy fast move pace. We're also in an election year for the Senate, for the House, and of course the presidential election. So it's a busy time in Columbia. It is not the right time to start working on a repeal of preemption. This is something that we would love to see happen. We want to pay attention to it, and we are paying attention to it, but it is not the right time. We just fought the preemption bill and it passed, and we're not quite at the point that we would work on a repeal of that. But I wanted just to let everybody know that is certainly something that we're always thinking about. Is the timing right for us to do that? And when the timing is right for us to jump in that space, then what does that look like and how can we do that? But we're not working on that issue right now. Okay, so I'm going to pause there and see if we have any questions on state issues. And then if not, I'm going to shift a little bit and talk about some local things that we're working on, and also some federal things.
Beth, I have a quick question. In regards to the registry bill, you said it's a distraction. Is that, just to clarify, that's distraction related to retail licensure, like a more stringent retail licensure? Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's a distraction because this would, in the minds of lawmakers, this is tobacco retail licensing.
Gotcha.
It is not. It is simply it is a list of which we already have. I mean, you know, like tobacco, they know who's selling their products. Like, this is not rocket science. So yeah, it's a do nothing bill. But there is the perception by lawmakers that this will help, you know, in restricting sales, or it would help in the retail licensure, which it won't.
Well, I was just going to ask what was, you know, why they would duplicate what DOR has. I mean, is it not?
Yeah, so DOR, I mean, they really don't have, the only thing that is currently required, and this was under the law that passed last year in the preemption, is for a retailer to check a box with DOR saying that they sell tobacco products. And that had to be, if you were applying for a new retailer's license, you would check the box. And then there is even like there's a kind of a grandfathered in clause. So that's nothing. I'm not even sure that people are doing that. And this registry would go through the Attorney General's office, which is also going to be interesting because it says, you know, they're required to show that they are approved and they can be on the market and all of this stuff. But I don't know why the Attorney General would want this. Thankfully, we have a great connection with the Attorney General's office and made some inquiries as to Why would they really want? Why? I mean, this does not make sense.
But just so you know that they have published the information on DOR site by county. They don't have a statewide list, but it is published out on DOR site, the list of tobacco retailers. And then we're using that tobacco retailer list from DOR to compare what is in CounterTools post system. And then we are making a list of where it is different and trying to make a plan forward of how we use that information.
Good.
So we have our tobacco retailer list and we're comparing it to their tobacco retailer list and seeing how far off we are. So I did one county. CounterTools is doing the rest of the state. So it's an interesting list. But it is out there. If anybody wants to go to DOR site or is would like a link to it, just let me know. I'll try and pull it up and put it in the chat.
That would be helpful. And certainly better than, I think, old school way, Sharon, of your department, literally just, maybe not your department, maybe it was Deotis, who, would like take a list and then ride around the whole state and try to map out it retailers.
Yes, that was definitely the hard work of Deotis.
Yeah, that's terrible. They're and also not cost effective at all. So we'll take a look at both of those bills and be prepared to report back and give some updates. We will not likely, we'll see how the hearing goes next week. But the hearing is next week. The registry bill hearing is next week at the State House at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. So again, if anyone's interested, let us know. We'd love to have you come and be a part of that. So for the local work that we are doing, we focused a few years ago on pulling a list of the top 5 counties and the top 5 cities in the state by population that did not have comprehensive clean indoor air policies. So I'm going to just give you guys a list here of what I have. So top 5 counties without comprehensive policy. Here we go. Drum roll for these folks that are not doing so great. The first one would be Horry County, which is down the coast, the Myrtle Beach area. Spartanburg County, Berkeley County, Anderson, and Dorchester. So those are the top 5 counties without comprehensive laws. And then by city, we have the city of North Charleston, who just has a new mayor, which is very, very exciting. City of Myrtle Beach, the city of Greer, which I see Wendy on here, and we are all trying to push Greer in the right direction. The city of Anderson and also Malden. So we'll notice that out of those top 5, we see 3 that are in the upstate: Greer, Anderson, and Malden. So I think it's really interesting that as we take a look at these folks and we look at, population wise, we look at the cities that are not smoke free, and then what can we do? So from ACS Can's perspective, we looked at the top 5 cities and thought, Greer is probably the one that we wanted to target first, because we thought we could work with their more progressive mayor, as he is seen as more progressive mayor by the South Carolina Municipal Association. And we had a few connections there. So we have been working along with partners on this call and others in Greer for a few years now. Haven't really seen a lot of movement, still trying to bolster the grassroots effort and just the true grassroots local community folks. So we continue to work on that project. We are really excited to hear about Breathe Easy's work down in the Low Country and the North Charleston market, and potentially hope to have something going there and working with them and partnering with them on a conversation about North Charleston. I think that, there's still so much room and there's so much that we can do for smoke-free, local smoke-free before we get to the state level. And certainly we are always monitoring and making sure that there is no crazy preemption or crazy bills that come up that include a smoke-free preemption. So I saw a few comments in the chat. Let me see here if I can go to those. Okay, so Karen, what makes them top 5? Yes, so this is a top 5 from ACS Can's population data, actually the US Census data. And so it's the top 5 counties and the top 5 cities with most population that does not have a comprehensive ordinance. And I want to say that DHEC has a good list that I've seen before of cities and counties where they see a higher prevalence of tobacco use. And that list, I think, is also really helpful to compare. All right. Anything else with local stuff that we are working on? Okay, so I'm going to shift a little bit to federal work, and I know that we've all been following and anticipating, the president to make a push and let's just go ahead and knock menthol out of the water, and that has not happened yet. So we continue to work at the federal level along with our partners here. We partnered and worked with the Center for Black Health and Equity and also the African American Tobacco League on a menthol funeral that was held in DC a few weeks ago, and Dr. Phil Gardner with the African American Tobacco League and a couple other folks really took the lead on that, and they did a great job. They had this coffin and like a coffin, a funeral procession in DC on the funeral of menthol. And we are hopeful that there will be some decisions made soon, but it's a long process, and we are fighting big tobacco. One of the things that we can do in South Carolina as we see kind of the presidential primaries really coming through, and I think there's all this stuff happening this weekend and then next week and First of the Nation, is if you have the opportunity where you are at a candidate forum or where you're at an opportunity to ask a question of a candidate, to ask the question, what would you do about menthol? How would you handle that? We are doing some bird dogging with President Biden. We are trying to get some things and questions out in front of him. We are working with some of our former influencers and legislators and leaders who are formerly based in South Carolina but are now in the Biden administration, to ask them to put some pressure on the administration. And we're looking to see, what can be done and how can we really highlight and elevate the voice of tobacco prevention and control advocates. And that is something that I think will be ongoing. So just a little bit going on, lots going on at all the different levels, lots of things moving, lots of things happening at the same time. And I appreciate everybody's support. I think it's going to be certainly an interesting legislative year. We've already seen that. The Senate passed an open permit carry bill yesterday, and we've seen some other very controversial bills out in front very quickly. Senate failed to set medical marijuana to special order also this week, and the House is battling internally among the different fractions of the Republican Party, and it's been really interesting, and we are literally just in the first few weeks of session. So we'll see how things go. Certainly, again, just want to invite you guys, if anyone's interested and you want to come hang out with me and Andrew at the State House, I welcome you to come. We'd love to have you, love to introduce you to your member if you're familiar with them, or if you're not, love to just have you be there with us. And happy to take any questions. All right, Barbara, I will turn it back over to you and Tara.
Okay, great. So I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about some events that Smokefree has upcoming this next couple of months. So for those of you who are part of our impact grants, we're going to be having an action planning session on March 11th. And then on March 12th, we're going to have our second advocacy training. That'll be downtown at the Palmetto Club. For those of you who were at the first one, we hope you will come back for the second training. And for those of you who weren't able to make it and would like to be part of it, we'll be sending out registration soon, and we'd love to have you. April 1st, we're going to do a rally at the State House for Take Down Tobacco Day. Beth and I and Tara and a group of people are all working on what we're going to do. I've reserved the Rotunda Beth, so that's taken care of. And we will be there around 10 in the morning. So if y'all could mark that on your calendars, April 1st, so Take Down Tobacco Day. And it's a day of action TFK. So we're going to coordinate with that. And then our summit is coming up. We're going to do it a little bit earlier this year. We're going to have it on April 23rd. It too will be at the Palmetto Club. And for those of you who are worried about parking downtown, the Palmetto Club has an underground parking lot. So free parking right down near the State House, and should be a really great event. Our theme this year is from numbers to impact, shaping a vape-free world, a vape-free future for our youth. So we're really excited to that. We're working on a final agenda right now, and registration for that will go up mid-March, I would think. So just a few things that we've got going on. And as I said, and I've had one person to reach out to me, and I'm not sure if anybody reached out to Tara, but if you are interested, I know of a school that would like to participate in our vape disposal program, please let us know. And now I think we'd like anybody to share what they're working on. If they need our help or anybody else's help, we would love to hear from you.
Barbara, do we have a time for Take Down Tobacco Day? I'm sorry if you mentioned that. What time are we thinking about?
I think it's reserved from 9:30 to 12. So in the morning. Okay. Is what we talked about.
That's going to be spring break for some folks. And it might be kind of a fun opportunity for us to, I don't know, let's talk about how we can incorporate that, because I'm thinking I could totally bring my middle school nephew. You know, I think that would be great for him to experience. And so it might be fun if we could extend that out to some of our other partners with middle schoolers, or, you know, to bring them and be a part of it. Good media too.
Great. Yeah, we'd love to do that. We have got USC students that'll be there. So that will be wonderful too. So yeah, I think we'll start working on ideas and how to include youth if possible. Yeah. So has anybody else got anything they want to share about what's going on in their organization? Anything new?
Andrew, when is Hearts Lobby Day?
Our lobby day is coming up on Valentine's Day, so February 14th. If anyone is particularly interested in attending that, connect with me. We'll have a kind of small group going, and we'll be focusing on two of our bills that we just got introduced last month for cardiac arrest, as well as Medicaid expansion. So a little bit less emphasis on the tobacco work with that event, but we will have some talking points available for that if people would like to attend.
That's great. Thanks, Andrew. And we had a great time on Sneakers and Suits Day with Beth's organization down at State House. It was a great morning. Got to talk to a lot of legislators, and hope we made some progress there. I got to see some old friends and meet some new friends. That was great.
Hey, this is Dana Thompson with the Lung Association, and I was just going to say that our State of Tobacco Control report came out on January 24th, and I will share it with Barbara to circulate, and happy to answer any questions after everybody has a chance to look at it if you haven't already.
That'd be great. We're getting ready to send out our February newsletter, so I can include the link to it there.
Thank you.
We have definitely had some media inquiries, and I know DHEC has too about the report. So it's making a splash. All those F's.
I'm glad to hear. You know, we were talking about our funding requests in there and highlighting that in our press release, and I'm glad to hear that it is making a splash. I didn't have any media requests this year in South Carolina. But.
Right.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, good morning. This is Ava Jean. Sorry I had to join you by phone today, but this has been a great meeting. I'm with the Community-Based Tobacco Disparities Group, working with the Dillon Group and also the Clean Air is Fair initiative. I do want to report we had the opportunity to, with Dillon, work with their middle school. We did a presentation this past Tuesday on vaping. And as you were talking about the vaping disposal kits, I don't know if you had the opportunity to reach out to them. I think they would be an excellent school to provide those kits, because while we did the presentation with the teachers, with all of the teachers there, because we were able to work with their planning areas where we stayed the entire day to do that vaping presentation. And we heard that they are collecting. I even had an incident while we were there with a student who was caught vaping. So I think they would be an excellent school. So if you don't have a contact there, I can certainly help you with that to make sure that they get that kit.
We don't have a, yeah, we don't have, do you have a contact there? I don't. No, so if you could,
I can email you, Ava.
Yeah, if you could do that,
but
we'll get in contact. If you could give us an introduction, that would be wonderful. Thank
yeah,
you.
we can work with that, and we've been working with Latta Middle and that around those areas. So I'll work with you on those.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Yes, my name is Jasmine, and I think I'm using my phone, but it's appearing as iPhone, I think, so nobody knows who I am here. And I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jasmine Milton, and I'm the new Healthy People, Healthy Choices coordinator here at Chester in MUSC in Chester. So this meeting has been very informational for me because I'm new. And also, I would like the vape packets. I'm meeting with several school officials here next week, and I will be visiting middle and high schools here in Chester to talk about ditching vape pens. So it'll be a great help for me.
Great. We're reaching out to you, Jasmine. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Barbara, can I share one other thing?
Yes, please.
So we are, as y'all know, we conduct our youth tobacco survey every odd year, and we started recruitment in 2023 and are moving in now to 2024 to conduct the surveys. We are having a little difficulty with some of our school districts in getting permission. So I could share a list, Barbara, if it could be shared out, if there's anyone that might have a connection to any of these school districts that could help us. It's really a very simple process, and we have actually gone to electronic survey collection this year. So it's no more paper and pencil. It's usually only 2 to 3 classes in the school, but we have run against some roadblocks with some of the superintendents and some of the principals. So I'll share that list, and anyone that might be able to help us get into any of these schools, it would be greatly appreciated.
Sharon, what's their pushback? What's their reasoning for not?
It varies. Mostly it's we don't have time to do it. We've gotten it conflicts with some other surveys that we're doing, and we don't want to have to do so many. Others say we just don't believe in the survey, and we don't like the questions, and we just don't want to do it. But mostly it's time. That's what most of them say. So any help's appreciated. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, if that's it, then we can end this meeting. Thank you so much for attending today. I think it was a great meeting, and I appreciate Beth and Sharon sharing with us and everybody jumping in. It's going to be a great year. I think 2024 is our year. At least that's the way I'm looking at it so far. So if you need any more information, we'll be sending out everything we discussed in the meeting today to all the participants. And, just let us know how Smokefree SC can help you. And I think those board members have